Alright, hello there guys, it's Mercy. Welcome back to another product review, and today I'll be doing a review on the Chaos M2 Mini. Before we start, per my usual disclaimer, Chaos did not send this out to me. I never heard of Chaos before I actually found out this mouse, so never contact me in any way, shape or form. I bought this with my own money from Taobao, so all opinions that I'll say during this video is my own and my own honest opinion only. Before we start talking about the mouse like usual, let's start with the packaging. Chaos shipped the M2 Mini with this eco-friendly brown box with their own logo, which is actually quite a nice change of pace. No fancy design, you don't want to keep this, you buy it, you throw it. It's actually quite nice. And inside the box you get a USB Type-C to Type-A cable, much more on the stiffer side. Personally not a big fan of this charging cable, that's why I never even open it. But if you don't have any, this could be usable, but it's just incredibly stiff. You also get the dongle and the dongle adapter itself, which is again incredible addition on the value side. And you also get extra replacement feet, which is again an insane add-on value. Compare this to like my previous review, the Taidu TWG502. This is already a much more better packaging in comparison. Context matter here, this is a 99 RMB gaming mouse, which costs roughly about 66 ringgit in Malaysia before shipping and tax, which is also equivalent to I think about $16. So for $16, this is competing directly with the Taidu TWG502 that I did a review previously. Same price point, and I personally, just TLDR, if you don't want to like watch the whole thing, want to compare AB, this is a better mouse. But I'll tell you why. So we just continue with this review and we start with the shape. I bought this M2 Mini because it reminds me of the Viper Mini. The dimension seems incredibly close to the Viper Mini, and reading reviews on Taobao, they say that it feels like a Viper Mini or it's close to a Viper Mini. And if you have the same reaction as me and want to get this instantly, because again it's a cheap Viper Mini clone, hold your horses, it's a little bit more than that. Here is my Viper Mini body. I don't have my Viper Mini anymore. I sold it to a friend. He loves the Viper Mini and I feel like he could use it more than me. So I still have my Vision F1 shell here, and just holding it side by side, you can see the M2 Mini is actually longer and it's actually a wider mouse, and my measurements agree with that. So M2 Mini listed the measurement for the Chaos M2 Mini as 119mm in terms of its length, 63mm on its widest point, which is more towards the back here, and 39mm on its highest peak, which is more towards the back. My measurement comes out as 120mm in terms of its length, but I think I'm probably my fault because it is definitely much longer than the 119mm on the Viper Mini. It's 58mm on its grip width with 65mm on the widest point, with the hum staying true to the 39mm mark. In the hand, it is a much more bigger mouse compared to the Viper Mini. The Viper Mini is much more smaller. It feels very flat on the back here compared to the M2 Mini. Here's the bottom view to explain what I mean. If you look, the Viper Mini has a very deep curve inwards. It flares out on the front and flare outwards on the back, so it feels much more even in terms of your pinky and your meaty part of the palm touching it. But this is just my grip, okay? So if you grip it differently, then you could work. But personally, I much prefer the smaller feeling and just the much more tinier feeling in hand of the Viper Mini shape. The Chaos M2 Mini feels larger in comparison, much more locked in. The backside of the mouse touch my palm even more compared to the Viper Mini, so it's not the same. I don't perform as well on the M2 Mini as I did on my Viper Mini shape, on something smaller for example, so it's not what I want. But again, for $16, I guess you could take that compromise for a much more cheaper alternative to the Cobra Pro. It is a little bit disappointing. It feels more in line with the EP shape size-wise compared to the Viper Mini. Viper Mini is more small, this is more like small medium-ish, so it feels more in line with the EP float. Here's the hit scan hyperlight for comparison. It's not even similar. Again, the length is longer, the width is also not as wide as the hit scan, but the back flare is just incredible on the M2 Mini. So yeah, not my most favorite shape in the world, but it's also not the worst. And if this is like your first mouse, or you don't want to spend too much and just want to get something that works, you could do worse than this shape. Trust me, it's actually not that horrible. The build quality on the M2 Mini is actually quite good too. There is slight creaking, but there is no noticeable popping, no noticeable like gaps or anything. It's actually quite solidly built for the price. There is like side play on M1 and M2 pre and noticeable post travel on M1 and M2, but aside from that, like the build quality for this mouse is not horrible at all. Again, I've tried more expensive mouse that have worse build quality than this. The button quality on the other hand is actually quite good too. I don't know why I say other hand, it's actually not horrible. The switches on this mouse is using the Omron D2FC-F-7N. Incredible name. It's Omron 100 mil switches. Feels really good. Again, especially for the price that they're asking for this mouse, it feels really good. I love how nice it feels. Very tactile, very snappy, very clicky. And I think for this price, I would pick this switch over all the Huano blue shell white dot switches that you see on more budget end mouse. This is just really good. The noticeable pre and post travel is one thing, but I never find it to cheapen the experience even more. It's there. It's not horrible. It's not offensive enough for me to notice that in game and affect my performance in any way, shape, or form. The scroll wheel is using the TTC dustproof silver, and again, for the price, this scroll wheel is really good. I have a mouse that costs more. I think it's like triple the price, the FK Mini 4, and this scroll wheel feels very cheap in comparison, and it's a more expensive mouse, which sucks. This thing feels so good. It's very tactile. It's very rigid. If you like something that's more smoother, you wouldn't like this scroll wheel. It's a very tactile scroll wheel, very you can feel the steps to it, and I love those. The middle click is also incredibly light for how nice the scroll wheel is, so you will not have any accidental scroll up or scroll down while you press middle click, which is really good. The DPI buttons is just DPI button, nothing special here. And the side button, feel wise and button wise, it feels really good, but the design is not that nice. They did this two-step look to it, if you can see. There we go, my camera can pick it up, where there's one side that protrudes out of the mouse and the other half that actually sits flush to the mouse. So your effective button is only this big, so it's a very tiny area to click comfortably, and if you're the type to roll your finger upwards, it's really hard to reach that. It feels more smaller than it looks, which sucks because the button feels good. Very minor pre and a slight post travel, but again, nothing offensive, nothing that makes this switch feels mushy. Now let's talk about the sensor. This is also an incredible part of the mouse, and I personally think that Chaos here did an incredible job with the M2 Mini. The sensor that Chaos uses on the M2 Mini is a PAW3399 T6QU, which is a customized 3395. Name aside, it feels identical to any other 3395 mouse I own, so I don't know what customization that they did or any different implementation that they did on the M2 Mini, but testing this mouse on Mouse Tester, it comes out incredibly nice, very smooth. Trying this on the DPI and DPI deviation testing, I didn't notice any DPI deviation that is like worth noting at all, and the performance of this mouse is still incredibly solid. So I think they did a good job with the sensor. The MCU of this mouse is the CX52850, so it's a Comp X MCU, which is not horrible, but if you want a better performing mouse, you should get the M2 Mini Pro, which uses a Nordic MCU. We'll talk about the differences later, but again, the performance itself is just really good. Pair this with a very decent wireless performance out of the box. It supports 1K and you have Bluetooth, so I think the sensor alone makes this mouse worth the asking price that they want. $16 for this kind of performance to me is insane. The battery life on this mouse is a little bit more mid. It has a 300 mAh battery, and M2 Mini listed this at 45 hours of battery life. I get roughly about 5 days of gaming, just really hardcore using this for Valorant and Apex. Lasted me 5 days before I had to recharge, and charging it takes like 2 hours. So not horrible, but not the best either. You can easily last 1 week if you don't use this as hard as I did. The skates is a bit mediocre. Again, they have replacements, so if you want replacement feet, you can have it. You don't have to change it if you don't want to, but I did. I went with this X-Ray Pad Jades Air, which is becoming one of my favorite dot skates. I have it on almost anything at this point. It's just really, really good. But again, using this skates, the original skates didn't feel that nice. It's much more on the slower end of things. It's much more scratchy feeling. It doesn't feel as smooth to glide on my mousepads collection. So I switched it to the Jade Airs, and now it feels really, really good to use this mouse. And again, that's about it. The software is very simple. I'll put some picture up for you guys to see. It's nothing special. No web driver. You have to download it, which is a bit sad, I guess, for the market nowadays, but it is a $16 mouse, so I'm not really complaining. But again, checking this out, playing with this, trying this mouse, I wish the only thing I would change is I wish the shape is closer to the Razer Viper Mini, but it's not. So you know, you have to use what you get. And I think if you want a slightly bigger Viper Mini, or you don't want something that's too small and you don't want to break your bank, this thing is really good. Now, the difference between the M2 Mini and the M2 Mini Pro is that the M2 Mini has no coating, which I don't know if I actually mentioned. There's no coating on this mouse, just raw plastic, which is kind of sad. And they don't include grip tape, so unless you get a lock-in grip like me, you might need grip tapes for this mouse. The M2 Mini Pro has a rubberized coating. The MCU is different, again, Compax versus Nordic. I think the M2 Mini Pro will get up to 4K and 8K wired wireless with the implementation. You get better battery life because of the MCU, and that's about it. The price and everything stays the same. Oh, and the weight of this mouse is 53 grams, and it's nicely balanced in the middle, which is really incredibly well. On my scale, I got about 52 grams with the dot skates. So again, like, Chaos did an incredible job. They just have to change the listing for the measurements. Again, it's a good mouse. $16. I think you could do worse. If you like it, you should just get it and try it out, and then maybe give it to someone else or sell it for cheap. So I don't think you're losing anything for trying this mouse out. That's pretty much it. I don't think I missed anything else. If I did, if you have any further question you want to ask me regarding the Chaos M2 Mini, leave down your question in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer them as fast as I can, as soon as I can. And that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't like it. Both way helps me out a lot, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Goodbye.